Winter, spring, summer, fall, seasons change, we still keep it together.
Hey, Beverly Hills 90210 fans! Are you ready to dive deep, episode by episode, storyline by storyline, character by character, as we break down the making of your favorite zip code? With your hosts, Charles Rosen.
Did I say that?
Harry
This
Mullen.
heinous thing about the real person, and we're going, what? We're getting rid of this guy.
Pete Ferrero.
I'm feeling wonderful. Kathleen looks TV crush-worthy.
Like so many special guests. And all your questions. Live on the Beverly Hills 90210 show. Oh, yeah. Everybody dance now.
All right, well, here we are back on the Beverly Hills 90210 show. Right off the bat, before we get into this, I just want to note everything that's going on with Texas has been so sad and tragic. And, I don't really know what to say. I don't think Larry and I are, proper people to talk on this issue, but just devastating. Yes, Larry, what's happening?
Yes. It's almost like, well, should we talk about it? Because there might be another one next week. It's all depressing, but go Ukraine, I have to say, because they part of our Planet 90210. I'm sure we have fans there. But no, I feel terrible about it, and, whatever.
It's
nothing to say. Nothing to say. All politics is local, so try to enact change locally. You've got a good chance.
All you can do. Now, this week we're talking about Graduation Day. This is season 7. First off, Larry, how are things in the vineyard? All good? What's happening there? You and Muntz have a beautiful. I'm going to leave it in. You guys had a wonderful conversation about clamming. I think people are going to love the recipes. They're going to want to know what to do. I think I left it in. I think it should stay in. How are things going in the vineyard?
I am a shell fisherman, and in the low tides, I look for the low tides to get out there and bring in the harvest. And then we have a lot of different clamming recipes, and so that's all good. And seeing friends is good. And but the world is really bad right now, so it's hard to really jump for joy other than to be happy with our loved ones and our family and people we keep close, and the community of people we have here. This is really renewing every time we get on the show.
This week, me and Larry are live right now, so I could put Brian saying hello 90210 pals, Liz saying hello.
Simon Moon, all right, Maggie, all right.
Rebecca Shin, we'll talk about her in a second.
I think we've been doing an after dark today too. I'm staying up late, man.
We're doing an after dark for the Patreons. We're going all the way in. And it's been a minute since we've done that, but now all of the interviews that we conducted, nobody's going to be live with us. They were all pre-recorded earlier during the week. It was just easier for everybody's schedules. So, but me and Larry, Chuck would love this. This is a clip show.
It's a clip show.
Right. This is the way you do. Yeah.
I think Chuck's in Washington, D.C. So.
I think so. I think he's having a pretty good time. But so talking about the Graduation Day, I wanted to play a clip. Here we go. The first clip. This is really one of the first clips that were shared on BuzzFeed from back in the day.
It's now time for the Beverly Hills 90210 show.
Jason, please forgive me, but we actually had the Spice Girls for the end of college graduation, where Kelly Taylor's father, who was a big venture capitalist, was actually going to end up going to jail, decides to do a big gesture and throw a big party, and he's going to have the Spice Girls, and the Spice Girls had approached us. They wanted to do the show.
I mean, that's
when I presented it before the director and producer of the show, who was the director, which was Jason. Jason literally looked at me like I had two heads. Like, it wasn't bad enough we did the Rolling Stones. Now we're doing the Spice Girls. This is it. I'm out of here. I'm not renewing my contract. We're getting the Cardigans.
Ooh.
When I had to kind of look them up on MTV and kind of watch for a while to see like love, just very light. No one remembers. Anyway, that's the show that I got fired. That's the band I got fired over. I kind of had overstepped my bounds at that.
Wait, on the Cardigans or the Spice Girls? The Spice Girls.
I died on the Spice Girl hill.
So that was the first. That was a long time ago. Nice to see Lily there, right? Lily,
yeah, sure. Beautiful.
I think that was the first episode, and that went. BuzzFeed shared all that, and it's ironic because in this conversation with Jason Priestley that we're about to go to, it comes up. It does. The Cardigans and the Spice Girls come up, so I'm pretty excited about it. So this is what we've got loaded for everybody this week. We've got a really awesome interview with Jason Priestley about graduation day. We've got months. I'm going to reveal all the mysteries. We got Drew Kinney. We got your brother Fred Mullen, who really talks about scoring that scene with Donna and David. And we've got our friend Ruth Olivier, Joy. So she'll be an interview here as well.
Joy, she's wonderful. And
she's so beautiful.
Yeah. And the Spice Girl and the Cardigans.
And the Cardigans, that's right. And the Cardigans themselves, which is all these are a little bit longer interview, but I will be here watching it along with you guys. But first, Larry, let's talk about this for you, right? We haven't kind of delved into your version of this. I know you talk about it a bunch in here, but coming to graduation day, season 7 was a really long year. And what was going on in the world of 90210 here? Because the big thing, of course, and you'll talk about it in some of the interviews, is Donna is going to lose her virginity.
Well, I mean, this is a combination of California University, but we're going out. The show's going to be different. If it's even going to go on. I mean, I thought at that point we knew it was going to go on. The show is going to go on. We weren't sure what form they were going to do it or any of the creative aspects of it. But to know was just you want to have all those storylines just going at once. And when you watch the show, I just watched it again with the watch along. I hadn't seen it probably because it was a painful show at the time, but I hadn't really watched it at the beginning. But it's really well crafted. It's really well directed, and the writing is really good. Phil Sabath and I wrote the episodes, and you'll see all the different triangles, everyone having to sacrifice one thing for another thing and making real hard choices in this thing. And it has its element of fun. It has the great template that we always try for: emotion, passion, bonding, fun. It's all there in this one. So that was very exciting to me. In the writing of it, we felt a great responsibility, obviously, of finishing this off, and certainly we talk about in the Donna losing her virginity. Knowing I was going to be doing that was a big weight, and we talk about that in the interview. Jason talks about it also. But yeah, so that was a fun episode. It had big scope in it. If the Spice Girls were in it, would have had the wow factor.
Sure.
I always felt the Cardigans were more like a Peach Pit After Dark act, but the Spice Girls would have been, oh my God, over the top. And maybe that's what really scared people, because they, at that point, and I've said this before, when you did a spelling show in the town, in our industry town, which no one else cares about, but perception-wise, it was kind of like not really that cool.
Right.
It wasn't classy or smart. It was a spelling show. So this even made it more of a spelling show because it was so exploitative, which is what I always loved about it.
Yes.
Not that I love the Spice Girls music so much, but just the gesture of Bill Taylor through having the Spice Girls for this party.
I mean, it would be an epic. Yeah.
It's fine, but everything, it's cool.
And the Cardigans are great.
I enjoyed the car. I was singing that damn song all day today.
I know, me too. I had it on. All right, let's hop into the interviews, and we've talked a bunch, and we talk a bunch in these interviews, so it's going to be like sort of Twilight Zone shit. You know what I mean? But here is Jason Priestley earlier this week, the start of our interview. Hey, Becca and Larry, we are talking a little bit about this episode, Graduation Day. But I don't think that the three of us could properly be the only ones to talk about this.
Right. We need some other people.
We need the director of the episode maybe to come on in and talk to us.
That would be fabulous. He's in Davidson County, I guess.
Hello, Jason. Hang on, he's muted. Hang on.
Yeah.
There you go. What's up, man? How are you?
Good to see you.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Awesome, man.
USA. Where are you, Jason?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee today.
That's what I said. Davidson County. Davidson Priestley.
That's right. Davidson County. Lovely Davidson County.
Jason, this is Becca. Becca, Jason.
Hi, Becca.
Hi, nice
How are
to
you?
meet you. I'm good.
Thank
How are you?
Too. Good. I'm very well. Thanks.
All right. Let's talk about graduation day.
Yeah.
Did you get to see it? Did you see any of it?
I did.
I hadn't
did.
seen
I
it in a
watched
while.
it.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. It's
I hadn't
epic.
seen it. Yeah, it really is epic. There was a lot to unpack there. What did you guys think of it?
Well, I mean, there's so many different things happening. First off, let's talk about the Valerie thing, right? Valerie
Yeah.
is, I mean,
That's
that was
the
a big
first
part.
hour
That's
is
a
the Valerie, yeah.
big part of the story is that Valerie is almost going to commit suicide. I mean, this is what she's saying that she's going to do. She goes all the way to the end of it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
do you remember putting some of that together with her, with Tiffany?
I didn't remember any of that. I was like, that was all new information for me. I was like, wow, I totally forgot about this. And then as I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, I remember shooting that. Oh, I remember how we had to do that. And I remember how we had to, get a crane out there at the bluffs and shoot over back. And I remembered once I was watching it, I remembered the, sort of the nuts and bolts of how we had to put it all together. And I remember, going out there to Santa Monica and shooting at the Shangri-La Hotel, and I remembered all that stuff, and sort of today, and sort of the focus on mental health that we have in society today. Like Larry, like how far ahead of the curve were you in that, in that season? Like, and in that season too, like, David had a bout of depression, and then Valerie had one. You know what I mean? Like we were a little ahead of the curve, like 20 plus years ahead of the curve. So far that no one's going to give you any credit for it, but
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we were just looking for a good story, a way to kind of put, Brandon in a real bind, and again another triangle between Kelly, Valerie, and Brandon, and and it just becomes, Jason has to sacrifice almost the graduation to save Valerie. So yeah, story-wise, I was really satisfied to see that. I said, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Because I didn't remember that story at all.
No.
I do remember the part where David and her earlier in the season were on the bluffs, but I forgot we had played the suicide card again, and it was very in keeping with her character because everyone had already abandoned her. She had been dumped on by everyone. Even Nat had turned on her. It was pretty cool that she'd do that. And then I also like the fact that we have you arrive just in time to get the student of the year.
Right.
It was just great.
and walk straight up on the stage with Commissioner, Chancellor Arnold, right?
Right.
Oh my God.
God bless Nick Pryor. Yeah.
Oh my God, love that guy. Love that guy.
For you though, you're directing this. Is it hard to act and direct at the same time? I'm curious for you.
No, it wasn't like that. Like at that point in time, that was, I mean, I think those were my 15th and 16th hours of the show. It was, it was pretty easy at that point in time. Plus we had said, that directing on that show for me was, that's where I started my television directing career, and I had such a great support system there with Rick Gunter, who was our DP, God rest his soul. He was such a great friend and teacher and mentor for me, and Steve Randolph, who was our camera operator, our camera operator, was such a great teacher and mentor for me. Those guys really helped me out of jams when I was early in my career, when I would, when they could see I was going to get myself in trouble, they would sort of gently guide me out of harm's way when they could see I was going down a dangerous path. And those guys were very influential for me early on.
From the perspective of Brandon here, I mean, the conflict that he has with Valerie and Kelly's characters. What do you think about some of that with Brandon? He always has these kind of inner conflicts.
Yeah, he did, and I, it was it was fun to watch. Like I don't spend a lot of time watching these old episodes. Like I could see like Kelly was bitchy, man.
Right? She was a little bit more.
She was not happy with the father, everything else.
She was more snooty,
well,
more snooty than usual. Kelly was.
Yeah, it was. And I could see like, and then Brandon's the episode on one, like he got more and more dour too, right? Like as they were at the party, and he was just like he he was walking around with his own personal bar, that little violin case he had, when I remember Ross Anderson, our prop guy, showed me that violin case. I was like, oh yeah, Brandon's gonna have that the whole time.
Yeah,
And I love that one scene where Brandon walked up to sit down at a table and talk to Kelly, and he just opened up the case,
love that.
pulled out a glass, pulled out a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue, poured it in the glass. And I remember when we shot that scene, it was a real bottle of Johnny Walker Blue, and I was really drinking scotch. And, and I remember how pissed off Jenny was. Jenny just kept getting more and more mad because I was drinking real scotch, and she was really pregnant, and she was all hormonal, and she was like, you guys got to stop messing around, man. And she was like all hormonal and pissed off. Oh my God, it was so much fun messing with her. Oh my God. Oh, it was just fantastic.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
I thought there was some alcohol there because you feel that sense of loneliness, like he just is at the bottom there. He's just sitting there. And at one point, we have that guy Ryan come by and say, "Hey, do you know where Steve is?" I'm looking for Steve.
The kid. Yeah.
It's like so cold. It's great.
We were watching it and we were like, well, there's always somebody that usually comes in at a moment like that to try to interrupt. And so that was perfectly done. Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so fun.
What about Randy Spelling and the other kid that's in this, Austin, or which is they're both Steve's brothers in this. Was that fun directing Randy? I mean, Randy's the one that's probably more interesting because he's obviously related to Tori and all that stuff. Yeah.
No, it was super fun. They were fun, and they were around a little bit that year. That other kid whose name escapes me, he was super energetic and had tons of great ideas, and he was really fun. And Randy, of course, was around quite a bit on the show, not only because he was Tori's brother, but that character sort of came and went on the show. And that was fun. And I worked with Randy a couple of times in the subsequent years on other projects and stuff. And obviously I knew Randy personally as well, so that was fun.
Larry, that's the first clip. I'm gonna jump. So far, what is your take on the fact that he was drinking real alcohol?
I'm so shocked. I can't imagine Paul Wagner knew this, because Paul was an old school guy, and it was pretty liberating. And obviously Muntz is going to tell a story a little bit later on about that too. But I'm fairly shocked, is what I would say. It was one of my shocking moments. But I guess, in a way, that's where Jason's headspace was then. He was kind of trying to have fun and make it a party. And he felt had strong enough support system that he could pull it off.
Somewhere you said that it was method directing.
Method directing. Yeah, like getting really drunk, method directing. Method acting, in a way, but
and the other person that we were Austin is Travis. Travis is his real name.
Travis Webster is his name.
Yes.
Travis Webster.
Right. Yeah,
he plays Ryan, the other boy. No.
Yeah. Yes. No, he plays Austin. Randy plays Ryan. Yeah. All right, let's get into
these characters.
Let's go into more of Jason Priestley. This is about 10 minutes long, so if you need to go anywhere, go ahead. But for everybody else, stay tuned, because here's more Jason.
Oh, it's great stuff.
The other big thing, too, is Kathleen Robertson is leaving. Claire's character is leaving the show. Is it tough how do you direct those enders? Because there's been tons of people leaving and all that stuff, and we've seen that kind of before. But I thought you did a really nice job with the way her character leaves, and I thought the stuff with her and Ian on the beach are really iconic. People talk about that quite a bit, actually. So do you remember doing some of that?
Yeah, that scene was I totally forgot that scene was in the episode too. Like, right, Larry, you too?
Me too. I mean, at the beach, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was beautiful. That scene was and it was surprisingly powerful. Like, I was watching and I was like, oh my God, they're gonna break up right now. Like, I was really it was really powerful, and really I thought that Kathleen, Kathleen was always a really good little actress, and I thought that she handled that really, really beautifully. It's like any of those scenes, right? Like you try to get the actors to temper it, right? And certainly the thing with actors, you just don't want them to push it, right? Like, and that's the thing that I try try to get across with actors, especially with young actors. Like you do, just like don't push it. Like just don't push the emotion. If let the emotion be, let it happen for you, right? Like don't force yourself to cry. Just let it happen, right? And if you're authentically in the moment with the other actor, and you feel like you're gonna cry, try not to cry, which is always a much more interesting choice. Try to fight that instinct to cry, because that's what people do.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
People try not to cry because it's embarrassing to cry.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to cry, right? Like try to hold that in.
Totally.
I was thinking when you're saying that, because obviously as writers, we act out the scenes in our head or even, together. And you're feeling the emotion as a writer in that scene. And you're just hoping the actors are going to be, and the directors are going to say the same thing. Because I think we were crying because we felt so bad the relationship was ending too when we were writing. Phil and I. And I remember that feeling. And it delivered so well. And it's just it's sad. Again, another triangle: Steve, Chancellor Arnold, and Claire. They're kind of fighting for her attention, and she chooses the father. And so it's a successful storyline in a sense because people have to sacrifice. She's sacrificing Steve for the father.
The Roaring Twenties themed party. I thought that was cool. What'd you think, Jason?
I loved it. I mean, that, at that point in my life, I was very obsessed with all things Art Deco and the 20s and the 30s, and like the hat that Brandon wore. That's actually my hat. That and so for me to go shoot at the Wiltern and do all that stuff was right up my alley. So it was, and I was super obsessed with Miller's Crossing, the Coen brothers film at the time. So it was, I was in heaven. So it was very, very fun for me.
That's cool.
To do all that stuff. And I thought it gave me, and more importantly, it gave us and me and Molly Campbell, our costume designer, talked about this a lot. It gave us great opportunities to hide Jenny's pregnancy. So so you'll notice in the episode, Jenny was always shopping or sitting at a table or doing something. So she could always be holding bags in front of her or doing something so it would always be easy for me to hide her pregnancy. And a lot of my directorial choices were dictated by hiding her pregnancy. So I was either in a big, huge wide shot or in a close up like this on her, because I could never be in a medium shot because it would show her pregnancy too much, because she was incredibly pregnant. She was, she was like 36 weeks pregnant at that point in time. She had a baby about 3 weeks after we wrapped that season. So it was quite an experience.
The stuff with Tori and the virginity stuff. Let's go there. Let's talk about that. This was a really powerful thing that was years in the making of this character doing this. Do you remember approaching this? And
of course I do. Of course I do.
You got it. You got to direct this.
Yes, I drew the short straw. Yes, I did.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt.
You and me both, Larry. We had to. It
was a great weight of responsibility, really. I felt. I mean, to do it right after all that time. I mean, yeah. It was. I was nervous, and I'm sure, as I know you were too. It was a lot. I mean, we were. Tori's an actress. She was playing a character named Donna Martin, but at the end of the day, we worked for Aaron Spelling, and that was Tori Spelling, and there was a lot to unpack in that whole thing, and it was I thought that Larry and Phil handled it beautifully in the script, but then of course it was my job to actually film it, and there's a whole lot of funny stuff. That I've talked about, a bunch of times. Like, I had all these ideas of having 80 candles, and I wanted to do a whole thing, right? And then of course, they were like, "Oh no, you can't have 80 candles. We'll have to have a fire marshal there." And how much is that going to cost? Well, that'll cost $600. I was like, so
Then the 600, well, no, we can't do that. You know, Jim Weatherall was like, oh, we're not spending $600. You know, I was like, guys, it's the #1 show on the network. No, we don't care. We're not spending $600 for candles. You know, like these are the fights that we had, right, Larry? You can.
I remember. But was Paul? Where did Paul stand on that? I'm curious. I thought it was Paul. Maybe.
Paul was like, yeah, no, we can't have. No, we're not
okay, yeah, I was gonna say Paul would never go for that.
No, of course not. I was like, but guys, like this is a big deal, man. This is a big moment. And they were like, yeah, we're not spending $600 on. We already spent $200 on lingerie. We're not spending $600 on candles.
That's right.
Like literally, this was the reality of shooting Beverly Hills 90210. So I said, so how many candles am I allowed? They said you're allowed 6 candles. So you'll notice that in every shot there's 6 candles.
They moved from the foreground to the background.
Exactly. I just moved them around. I was like putting in candles the 6 candles I was allowed are in every shot.
So are you having conversations not only with Tori about how to do this, but also with Mr. Spelling about this as well? Did you have a conversation?
No. Oh, well, I had, yes, because before as a director, you go to the Mister's office and you have a meeting beforehand where you talk about the script and you talk about the idea, the concept sort of meeting, and then you go and shoot the episode, and then you go back and you screen the episode for the Mister, right? And so he gave me a talking to beforehand, and after everybody left, he held me back, and he said, Jason, I don't have to tell you how important this is to me. I want you to take care of Tori. Okay, all right, Darren, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So, when I go back with my my 3/4 inch or my 1 inch copy of the episode of screen for him, we went, and it's the final scene of the piece, and we sit there, and it ends, and the credits roll, and he sits there, and Aaron had a bit of a flair for the dramatic, and he just sort of sat there for a couple of beats, and he lit his pipe, and he took a couple of pulls off his pipe, and he sat there, and silence in the room, and it's just him and me, and he's milking it for everything, and he goes, "That was very tasteful." That's all he said.
Oh, wow. Well, Larry, you've told the story that you approached him about doing this and asked him if you wanted to add a priest in this.
In the writing of it, after we thought, so many times we've had so many false starts on this, whether she was going to lose it. I said, as we're getting ready to write it, I just wanted to do things right. And, Donna Martin being a Catholic, I said to him, Aaron, you think we could maybe do a scene like, she goes to confession and, have a priest in. He thought about it, like Jason said, he went, nah, just do it.
Good stuff, man. Right? Yeah, we have one more Jason clip. I think
it's so great. Jason's stuff is so wonderful. Hearing it again is even better.
I think we have to play it now, though, Larry, because it leads into the Cardigans. Unfortunately,
okay.
You know what I mean. So here's more Jason Priestley. What about actually shooting this?
I forgot June Lockhart, though, Jason, who plays the grandmother. Did you notice her in the thing? She's like 94 today. We tried to get her on the show. She almost came.
Yeah.
She's still alive. She's amazing.
She was in Lassie.
She was in Lost in Space also. She's famous for that.
Oh, yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah, she played Donna's grandmother.
Yeah, and she was great. And that that scene of the two of them driving in the car. Yeah. Not in Beverly Hills, on Ventura Boulevard.
Right. What about doing the scenes with Brian and Tori? I mean, were they comfortable with each other enough? Because
yeah. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Those two, way comfortable with each other. They're like, they were super easy. They're super comfortable.
And this is before intimacy supervisors and all of this stuff, right? So there is a delicacy that you have to bring to this.
Yeah.
Or was it just different times?
It was different times. It was very different times, and the two of them were, the two of them had dated briefly and stuff.
They were aware of each other. Yeah.
yeah, they were familiar with which side they like to turn their heads to kiss. You know what I mean? It was no intimacy coordinator necessary.
Yeah.
I noticed Brian's hands did not move much. Tori's hands did. Come on, Brian, move those hands. I'm going.
Becca, is there anything you want to know about this episode?
I don't know. I will say everybody keeps bashing Kelly, saying she was so snooty this episode. I thought she was rightfully snooty.
Wow.
I thought she had a right to be. Yeah, I mean, she was.
Well,
I don't know. Valerie was like, I'm not moving out, and then there was the whole Brandon at the end was like, if you don't like it, then why don't you not move in? And I was like, okay, like getting a little, wow,
Point
like
counterpoint.
Well, it was the father stuff too. I mean, we brought, the
Yeah,
whole
I
father
mean-
thing that hangs over her life.
Oh, yeah, what about him? He's
And he
fantastic.
has the
Valerie
last
tried
night
to-
there. He's
yeah.
going to be going to prison. I had totally forgotten the perp walk and
Yeah.
everything. I mean, that was kind of cool. I mean,
yeah.
The actor is so good. The actor that
John
played
C. Riley. John C. Riley.
John Riley. Do
Yeah,
you remember?
John
Do you
Riley.
remember him,
John
Jason?
Riley.
of course, yeah, and he was great, and I totally forgotten
Mhm.
about that too. Like the fact that he made a deal with the FBI to be able to throw
FBI,
the party,
mhm.
and then
That's
he was
really
going
sweet.
off to prison for embezzlement. Like it was amazing. I totally forgot about all that stuff.
Yeah,
It was
kinda
really
cool.
great.
It was white
And
collar
then and then
crime.
I was like, so at the end of the episode, we all said, well, all right, well, I guess we're all going home. And then we all went, I guess at the top episode of season 8, we were all just living in the Walsh house
That's right.
and everything was cool.
I think so. Yeah. I think you may all go to Hawaii at some point too.
We did. That's
Yeah.
right. We started the season we started season 8 in Hawaii. That's right.
Yeah.
The other
and-
thing that caught me by surprise was and it's interesting, the Valerie Steve moment. All of a sudden, there's a moment where the kid goes in there and sees Valerie and Steve kind of groveling
Yeah.
together on the floor. And wow, I went, I've totally forgotten that. And it sort of makes sense, it's kind of like, what the fuck? I'm about to kill myself. I'm not going to kill myself. Might as well live. Steve been dumped by Claire.
Yeah.
It's the
People, men are
perfect thing.
carnal. They'll pick anything up. And that's kind of how we felt. And so, yeah, that was kind of a good surprise. I went, oh, shit.
And that moment at the end when she reaches in her dress and pulls out his bow tie,
Yeah.
like
Totally.
that's super
Yeah.
funny. That was good stuff.
We also have the
Sure.
Oh,
Cardigans on the in the
Yeah.
episode. I thought they were great. Jason, what did you think of the Cardigans?
Yeah, they were good. I
Yeah.
mean, in retrospect, Larry was right. We should have had the Spice Girls. But
It would have been. Thank you.
We were going
It would have
there.
been an event because the Cardigans were like a Peach Pit After Dark act, but the Spice
Yeah.
Girls would have made it an event,
it would have been
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It doesn't
But
matter
I
how lives
understand the
have gone
position
on,
that
we're
we don't
still
need the
around,
Spice
we're
Girls.
happy
I
and
get
well.
that. Yeah.
Everything.
No, the Spice Girls would have been a spectacle, right? It would have been amazing.
Yeah. Shit happens, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rolled the dice. Got it wrong. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, we're going to interview the Cardigans for this episode, so that's pretty exciting.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
All right,
That's
man.
cool.
This has been great. How are you? Is everything
Fantastic.
good with you in your world, and you're working and doing some fun stuff? Anything cool that people could be excited about?
Yeah. I'm on my way to Calgary to start directing on a new Netflix series this summer, and
Great.
it's the usual.
Good stuff. Good
I
stuff.
I'd like to
Bad
tell you,
penny. I
Jerry
just keep coming around.
Frizzell, our editor, Jerry Frizzell, wanted me to say hi to you. Remember
Okay.
Oh,
Jerry?
cool.
And
Yeah,
he
of
said,
course I
he
remember
said you
Jerry.
called him large or something. There was
Yeah.
he said,
was
mention
his-
my name, let's say large. Okay.
Yeah, that was his nickname. That's what everybody called him.
That's amazing. All right,
Oh my
Jason.
God, please send him my best, Larry, will you?
I will. He'll be very happy.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Man, thanks so much for your time, bro.
It
Much
was nice
appreciated.
meeting you.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Nice to meet you too. Thanks so much,
Yeah,
guys.
my
It's good to see
mom
you
will be
guys.
so happy. I'll have to tell. I'm gonna text her. She's gonna be so jealous. Brandon was her favorite. We still argue
Oh, awesome.
over who's
I
the
love
best.
that.
All right.
I
Have a
love
good
that.
one, man. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
Have a
everything.
good
guys.
day.
All right.
We'll talk
Bye.
soon, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.
I mean, that was so much fun to talk to Jason, wasn't it,
Becca
man?
was great. She got her mother in there too. She gave
Yeah.
a shout out to her mother.
She did. That was, I mean, one of my favorite things here on this podcast has been introducing the super fans to like Jason or Brian and all that stuff. It's such a blast, and Becca seemed to have a lot of fun with that. I wanted to say, Larry, before we move forward to the next thing, earlier today, the person that does the Tiffany fan page shared a clip on her social media that there's an extra scene that we didn't cover where Tiffany. I'm just going to show it to you.
Hey, Val. Hey. I'm glad you're here. I was a little worried about you.
I didn't think you cared.
Well, you make it hard at times. But I do.
Well, it means that to me, David. Thanks.
So David and Valerie have a moment. We didn't see this. I mean,
this would be after the graduation ceremony and before the party, probably back at the Walsh house. It looked like.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, because look, they shared that time on that bluff together, thinking about suicide. So it made sense to have that scene. I totally had forgotten about it. It's like a lost scene because it was not in the SoapNet version that we have the copies of. So maybe that was it. Maybe it's in the DVD set. Maybe
it has to be somewhere. Yeah.
And did you say that Tiffany's fan page did that?
Yeah, this girl Renee. Yeah, she's really sweet. I don't know if she wants me to say her name, so oops, sorry. But Tiffany's fan page. Yeah, she posted that earlier.
She lets Tiffany know how much we admire her work. I mean,
she has done that. She has done that via social media posts. I do think Tiffany fan page needs to push it one more step and just say, Tiffany, do this. Like it's gotta happen like that. Yeah. And it's a very aggressive approach. Hey man, I want to ask you before I go cut to this interview with the Cardigans. Redemption. Was that a little bit of redemption in the fact that he says he got it wrong? We should have done the Spice Girls, maybe move the Cardigans to an After Dark.
Yeah, look, a story of my life. I felt sure. Yes, that was good, and I really, I admired Jason's work on this thing, and it was fun working with him. At the time, in the heat of the moment, everything was changing. There was a lot of flux going on, and an insecurity about what the show was going to be like and who was going to come. And I don't think at the time Jason really knew who I was. I think he just kind of lumped me in with the other ones because, again, we didn't have Paul there so strong anymore. On the other side, Paul Wagner, who dealt with the actors. So. And I'm not the kind to go out to the set and stuff. I was working on the stories.
And we really don't know.
In retrospect, I should have gone out there that 7th season and really, schmoozed up with the actors. And it's just not my style. I had always been taught, don't go to the set. Don't talk to the actors. When you do that, something bad's going to happen.
But in fairness, Larry, you did do a lot of things for the actors. You did some hockey stuff. You did. You were always writing.
As far as going out and having coffee or talking to them or whatever, I didn't go out of my way. I never in my whole career I never did.
Right. All right. I'm going to play this interview with the Cardigans. It's also a very long interview. We get to some stuff about the 90s. We get into this thing. So
how long, Pete?
9-minute clip, an 8-minute clip, and a 4-minute clip. So I don't know what that is. 22-minute interview. Okay. And then we've got your brother. We've got Ruth. That's just 10 minutes. So I mean, this is going to be a supersized show. This is where we are this week.
It's a good oral history of the show.
You could take next week totally off. So just all right. Here is me and the Cardigans. Hello.
Hi.
This is exciting.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you?
I'm in California, in Pasadena.
All right. So let me think. Right. So wait, what time is it there? Is it really late?
8:15 in the morning. Yeah.
It's really early. It's
really early. Yeah.
I was thinking the other way. Then it would be really late for you. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Either way is good. I'm happy to chat with you at any time. All right. I want to ask you about this. I'm here with Nina Persson, who is the lead singer or was the lead singer of the Cardigans, and amongst other things, and just one of my favorite bands. First, I want to ask you, is it exciting that the 90s are sort of like back in full force now? I mean, everybody's talking about the 90s. You can see it all over. It's like the 90s are the new 60s is what I've been saying.
It's less tasteful, way less tasteful in my mind. Who was there?
For sure. What do you think of that?
I think it's really fun. It's we're still playing together, the Cardigans, and for us, we've gone through a lot of sort of temperatures in how people have viewed us, so forth. So it's fun to be right now. It's a heyday, sort of. Young people are discovering our old music. And so of course that's really fun. But it's also fun just watching it sort of unfold. I just now watch those episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really fun to see the styles and hear the tone and everything, and really notice how it's so current at the moment, in the way people look and how it's. But it's funny, yeah.
It's nice to see. I'm a 90s. Well, I guess I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 76. I'm 46. So it's cool to see my era finally getting its due, because the music was really awesome, and the Cardigans were a big part of the culture and pop culture. And then here is this moment where Beverly Hills 90210 is also sort of in pop culture. It's ingrained in everybody's lives. And you guys get this opportunity to come on to the show and play your hit song.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing to a click track probably for some of it.
I think it was mine. It's playback.
Yeah, exactly.
Full playback is what I remember it as. Yeah.
How did you get this opportunity? Do you know? Do you remember?
I don't exactly remember how. It was in our perception at the time. It was, we got the question through our manager,
Mm-hmm.
who, by the way, watching the show, I don't remember that they call, because there's a part where somebody talks about they talked to the Cardigans manager and they call him Punchball. Is that what they call him?
I think so. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I didn't remember that. I hope he hears that and sees us, because that's so funny.
Was that a reference to the manager?
No, it's something they must have
made up.
Come up with in the show, in the script. Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's great. Yeah.
But yeah, we got the question through management, or like from the American record company or something like that. So it was quite, it's quite technical in that way. And we say yes, and then it goes back. I think we were on tour. So I think we felt like we were quite busy. So there had to be a little bit of shoehorning to make happen. We were sort of like, it's too much. But it was so important. All the business end of things, they understood that this was a really important opportunity. So they made sure we could do it.
Were you aware of that show? Did you know what that was, Beverly Hills 90210?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the time, though, this is almost embarrassing for me to say now, but at the time, I was a little too cool for school. So I thought that it was like a lame show.
Fair enough. I mean, that people
so I
have said that.
I was a little bit like, oh no, do we have to do it? I had a bit of like indie shame.
Yeah.
As
I
you
love
call
that
it.
though.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and and watching it now, I can also remember how awkward I felt and how cringy I thought it was, and how we all look super awkward. But now I think it's the coolest ever, especially now since the 90s are hot again, whatever. But
Sure.
for the longest time, I'm so happy with it, because I realized that it made an impact, and it was a really sort of, and I did watch it, I just wouldn't admit it. That's the thing. So it did mean a lot to me too.
Do you remember filming it? Do you remember what it was like to come to the set and meet all those actors and be a part? I mean, it's a huge episode. It's the ending of the season. So you guys are going to, everybody's going to be watching this episode. All the fans come back sort of for the season finales, and you guys are the centerpiece of the show at the big bash on the wherever that was.
Yeah.
And what is your memory of sort of filming it?
Well, that was really super large to us. Of course, we were on set, so we were not at the theater where I think some things are filmed. Mm-hmm. Jason Priestley was directing the episode, so that was really, huge for us, of course, that we were directly interacting with him like that. But then I remember that there was the Donna actress.
Tori Spelling, yeah.
Tori Spelling was there. And maybe a couple of more, but I know that all of them weren't there, because I guess that's because they weren't on the same cameras.
Sure.
Camera angles, whatever that we were. So a lot of the stuff that goes on at the party, didn't see any of that sort of. They just shot our performance and whatever would have been in the same shots or something like that. But it was amazing, of course, just to be on like the lot, whatever, like in Hollywood. That was very big for us from small town Sweden. So, and then meeting Jason and being directed. I also remember we did get a script, because we have some lines.
Yes, you do.
We did get the script in advance, and it was so stressful to have to learn the lines, just because it was so difficult, and that was outside our comfort zone.
For sure. I mean, especially in that time period, being so indie, like you said too, to now not to be a part of the process, like all the way to the extreme, right? Like we're gonna fake play on mime, right? And also you need to know these lines, right?
Yeah, totally. Yes, absolutely. That was really that was hard for us as such sort of self-aware youngsters.
And they make sure that they put a line in there that the Cardigans don't normally play birthday parties. Is that
Yeah,
right?
and I was like, I bet we sort of asked them to put that in or something. Embarrassingly enough at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it is like that, but I wouldn't have been surprised.
Because if somebody from like a super fan of 90210 is watching the show, they might think to themselves, maybe we could get the Cardigans to play at my birthday party.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Right.
I know. My husband just said that he remembers that there was a lot, like maybe not a lot, but a couple of bands that did similar performances, that they tended to have bands coming on the show, like Chibo Mato and stuff. And
yeah, no, it was a big thing in this part of the series where they had this club, the After Dark, and like Christina Aguilera even played there, and there was a lot of huge success. And the Rolling Stones did an episode of 90210.
Oh, wow, cool.
yeah. I mean, they did it via their concert, but you know what I mean. Like, I mean, there was always this kind of music happening on 90210, and I do think it's interesting because yours is the season. Normally they would put them at the After Dark club, right? But yours is in this big party, huge Roaring 20s party themed thing with all the cast, and like it's huge. They really gave you a centerpiece of the show. Do you think that your song was super popular already at that time, but did 90210 help at all with the promotion of it in any way, do you think?
Oh yes, I think so. I mean, I think it was a hit already. I think it already had been on Romeo and Juliet, which really carried that song forward a ton. So but yes, to the other question too, for sure this helped a lot because 90210 was like global, you know.
Yeah.
And beyond the Western world, it was like crazy. So absolutely. But I forgot that we did two songs. Watching it now, I was like, oh yeah, because I think I seem to remember also actually that when we shot this, that second song we do called Bennett had just been, you know, we were just working that as the second single. So I think we might have asked to, you know, to shoehorn that into there. But that was I think we on the same trip we shot the video for that song. So I remember that's the step we were in.
It's the Cardigans, Larry. This is incredible. This is the Cardigans. Is on the Beverly Hills 90210 show this week. I mean, what a great throwback, huh?
And she was live from Sweden.
She was live from Sweden. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Well, God bless her. Yeah, it was great. She was.
We have two more clips. Two more clips.
Okay.
You know, here's some more of the Cardigans. So did you watch it when it came out? You said yes, you did watch the episode. And I'm curious of your mindset back then. I'm sure today it's very cool. You can see it on, I don't even know where you can see it now, but it's probably on Hulu and all those places. But back in the day when you watched it and you see the actors sort of like, I don't know, having these dramatic scenes over your song, what was your thoughts about watching the episode back in the time when it aired?
Well, yeah, I remember because it would always air later in Sweden than in the US. So, but I remember we were on a never-ending tour, and I was spending the night at a really gross motel with like toenails stuck in the rug, that sort of place, and feeling really lonely and really blue. And I was watching TV, and that's when this episode came on for the first time. So to me, when I watched it, that has nothing to do with the fact that I felt it was cringy, because secretly I did think it was really cool.
Right.
But I remember I was lying in this really gross motel room somewhere on the road in the US in filth and watching that show and being like, life is so weird right now, because we had this really huge success. We were on this fucking show and I was feeling so low, you know. I was like, this is so strange, kind of. So that was my experience of the moment when I watched it. But then I think I've seen it, I saw it around the time when it aired in Sweden, because then my friends were like, then everybody here were really excited about it.
It's interesting that you say that you were in a moment there, you know, where you were feeling blue or whatever. But isn't it one of those little moments sort of in life where you're like, but this thing happened and it was really cool. You know what I mean? Like when you're feeling blue and you see this thing come on, is that kind of what it was like for you?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. And also this weird how how the extremes of life, sort of like this job is the most whack, sort of, but really feeling like, and also I think that that's the reason why I remember that moment when I watched the show the first time so well, because it was in such a, if I'd been sitting together with my friends, whatever, premiering it, having drinks, then that probably wouldn't have stuck with me in the same way. It really, it stayed with me as, it's an example that I sometimes tell people when people sort of ask me to, what it was like back then, kind of.
I mean, I was just going to ask you, what was it like back then? You know what I mean? The 90s. I mean, we're all talking about that now. What was that like for you to be thrown into, and then, I always find it interesting for people that get in the 90s, that get thrusted into pop culture in a way that is just, everybody knows who you are. You go from this place of like trying to figure it out, whatever, and now everybody knows who you are. And in the 90s, it's such a huge way, to the point where you're on one of the most popular television shows, playing your song at the 20s party. What is that like? What was that like, the 90s?
Well, I mean, I can only talk about what it was like for me then, and that's the only time I've had that happen to me. But it was a time when the whole business, and I think that goes both for music business and entertainment business, there was suddenly so much money in it, and there was suddenly so much, there was MTV, and there was shows like 90210. Pop culture was like exploding and being really global in a way also. That 90210, for example, it was huge in America. It was also huge at the same time, pretty much all over the world, kind of. And MTV, how that spread things also simultaneously and quickly. I mean, now we have the internet, obviously, which makes
Sure.
it, exponentially more intense. But it was something then, and also this thing that there was a lot of budgets and everything. That's something that I think is very different now. Now it's much more sane in some ways and a little bit more DIY. People are also better at shit, I think, than back then, because then we had, budgets from big record labels to catapult you forward if they decided to let that happen,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was also a time when it was also very sort of, it's a time that I can really feel nostalgic about the 90s, and I love music from the 90s and so forth. But I also think it was a time that was difficult, because it was very narrow-minded in a way. It was very exclusive. It was kind of, maybe not sexist, but it was very male-dominated.
Sure.
In the music business, at least. And, it was, I remember feeling really sort of like I didn't have any peers that were ladies, and it was sort of like I hung with the guys, and that was harsh too, because there was a tone there that was
Sure.
comfortable and warm. There was something about humor also. I remember it was quite ironic and quite harsh, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think that's, it was a little lonely. I've had warmer eras later on in my career, I gotta say.
I bet, yeah. I mean, now it's an interesting time period because everybody's revisiting the shows. I'm curious if anybody brings this up in your world, this episode of 90210. Like, you guys did 90210. Where did you have friends in your circle that were super, or family members that were super excited by it?
Yeah, and people around me, and I don't know about, I mean, in a lot of ways, still, I have a kid now who's 11, and he now has friends who, for example, I mean, the song Love Fool, for example, really is making it on TikTok, for example. So it keeps that song keeps reawakening to different generations constantly, and now it's his generations and younger ones. But this show, I think it's more people closer to my generation, like the little kids still haven't. It's just, I mean, I don't know if people rewatch it like you rewatch Friends, for example, but maybe people do. I'm not sure.
They do. And I think what's interesting about it is that it's because it's a teenage show. They grew up with the characters. So there is sort of like this connection of like, we all went to school together, even though we didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's still very much watched. The song, though, the Love Fool song, tell me a little bit about how that song even came to be. And what the process of like having a song like that become so popular. It's a great song. I'm a huge fan. So
thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with it too. And of course, it's made a big difference for us in many ways. There was a song that we wrote it we wrote it at a time when we've simply decided to make another record. And parts of us really wanted to go in a different direction, maybe more in the direction where that other song, Bennett, is. Like we felt like we were being sort of tagged as being really cute all the time. So we wanted to become more like in some, you know, flirt with rock and roll, whatever. But then we wrote that song, and it was written initially as a really sort of mellow bossa nova, sort of, you know, it has that, you can, I mean,
yes,
that's how it was. It works as a bossa nova, and that's how it started out. And then I think it was, to us, a striking move by our producer to suggest we try a disco beat. And then it became the kind of song that it is now. It came out on that record called First Man on the Moon, and it was the first single that was released in Europe, and I think maybe in the US too. And it did really well, but it didn't do amazingly. You know, we went on tour with it, and it did really well, but not like bananas. But then it was that then they wanted it for that movie Romeo and Juliet,
and then it was just bonkers. It was, and
then it was I think it got like re-released. The Americans wanted to shoot a new video that was more colorful and more you know, expensive and sparkling somehow. So then it got bonkers. After that, especially in the US, so then we toured in the US forever after that.
Were you surprised that song in particular went bonkers, was so crazy? Was that like, wow, I can't believe that one is where it is now because of this movie, and now we're all talking about it all these years later? Is it surprising that song in particular was the one? I'm sure you wrote so many songs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm not surprised that out of all songs, that's the one, because it is a banana song in the way that it's so accessible and so simple and so I mean catchy. And so I'm not and I'm more surprised that we wrote that song, you know.
Right, that
it's our song. I know. Still shocked and happy every time I get a BMI check, you know. So it's I had another moment like that. Did you watch that show Pam and Tommy?
Yes.
So there's a scene where Pam in the TV show is singing along to the song in her trailer.
I was going to ask you about this. It's coming back up again, the song, right?
Yeah. And if somebody had told me then that was going to happen in the future, that somebody playing Pam Anderson would sit and sing along to it in the trailer, I would have freaked out as well. So no, I'm not surprised that song made it really big. But then again, it did have several lives since the release of that big movie. Got that extra commercial boost, of course, and 90210. I was
gonna say 90210, and now all these years later with Pam, and then you got to wonder the accuracy of the show. Did Pam sing that in?
I know. I want to know if that was based on a real.
It has to be, because it's so specific. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
That's very cool. Anyway, thank you for your time here. I want to just lastly ask you a couple things. Looking back on this now, I mean, the indie person in you was cringing, but are you super happy that you were on 90210?
Yeah, I am super happy. And it was really fun to watch it now, because now it's a lot of years since I think I watched it twice. It's a long time since last time. It was really fun I watched part 1 and 2 now also of the 2 graduation episodes.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't think I got the context before, you know?
Yes. So now you've got the full idea of what was happening there. There was some mental health
drama, like
the mental health
debut,
stuff.
Suicide. What?
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes. Maybe it was everything that indie you probably really did love, and you just weren't aware of it. You know,
if I'd only know that there would be sex debuts and suicide surrounding it, I would have felt better about it. I'm sure.
Amazing.
Right.
I want to ask you lastly where people can find you guys now, what's going on. Tell people what's up, and if you got anything coming up or tour wise, record wise. I want to ask you about all that.
Yeah, we haven't made any new material in a long time, but we tour. We don't really go on long tours, but we play shows. We're currently rehearsing to do some shows in June and August in Scandinavia and Europe. And that's what's happening. We have a lot of like anniversaries. We turned 30 this year, soon in October. and we have records that are turning 25. I think Love, I don't know, I not Loveful is like 25. You know, we're trying to figure out if we're going to make some more intense moves sometime soon.
Come to America. Let's do an American tour.
And that would be so amazing. That would be one thing, for example, that we would love to do.
Yeah.
So we all have day jobs also, but we do play shows, and then we rehearse, and then we have a great time. And so nothing new though, unfortunately. I'm embarrassed to say.
That's okay. That's no biggie. But who knows? Maybe this 90210 thing will bring you to America somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. This has been really fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you. That was great. Nina Persson.
Yeah, I wound up watching. I wasn't going to watch, but yeah, she was fantastic.
Yeah, she's stunning too. She's just absolutely beautiful. I mean,
it's interesting that they have day jobs.
I wonder what they are. I didn't follow through with that question, but I should have totally.
Wow.
All right, Larry, we've got to get to many more things. There's a lot of things.
Rocket, please.
I do want to say one thing. 90 News is coming back, Larry, with Sarah Heeran of Us Weekly, and I are going to be. Yeah, she's amazing and lovely, and we're going to cover what's going on today with 90s people, but we're also going to cover old 90s stories too. So. We're still figuring it out. We're getting there, but it is coming. It is definitely coming back, and I'm really stoked about that. And Sarah's awesome. Which one do you want? I think we should go to Fred. I think we should go to your brother next, because he really offers. He scored the episode, and he did the Donna stuff, and we even watched a little bit of the scene there. So I'd like to go to that one too. Is it always you're going to see your brother in a minute? Yeah.
You know, my brother is kind of a legendary Nashville producer now. But in the 80s and the early 90s, he was a film composer. He wound up I got him started on a show I was running called The New Gidget, and he worked a nice career. And then I had to, I wanted to bring him in because he's so talented into 90210. And I think I might have snuck him in on season 6 a couple of episodes, and then season 7 he did a lot, and he did the last the money episodes.
Yeah,
and he brought a little bit of different, kind of like an outsider's touch to composing, because he wasn't a Hollywood guy. He was doing all that work in Toronto.
And the thing is what's great about this interview, everyone's going to watch it now, but he does dive into the pressure. We were talking about that with Jason, the pressure of doing this episode,
sure,
of doing the scene with Tori, and her being, Mr. Spelling's daughter, and so he gets into some of that too. I'm going to dive into that now. Let's do it. Yeah.
Pretty boy.
Hey.
Hello. Yeah, we just were in your neighborhood yesterday with Davidson Priestley.
Oh, nice. Hey,
I have the feeling you must see him on your wall.
Really bad lighting, Larry. You gotta get some better lighting.
No, I don't need to be seen on this. That's all right. Later on when I win the live show, I'll be seen. But this is about you. This is about you. This is about you, friend.
All right.
Okay. And the scoring of this crucial scene.
Yeah.
Pete actually has the scene, right?
I'm gonna show it in a second here.
Okay.
How are you doing, man? It's good to see you. Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy. Yeah.
All good in the Tennessee area?
In Music City, yeah. Although it's you just missed an absolute monster storm of rain, but it's starting to abate. So but it's very dark out. You can see behind me. It's
Yeah.
Alexa, stop.
All right, let's talk about this. I mean, scoring a show like 90210. What was your process in doing some of this? You had been doing it all season, I think, right? So you were in the world, you knew what was going on, and Larry probably told you what was important, and I'm sure you were having those kinds of conversations. Yeah.
I think probably at this point you probably knew that I wasn't coming back also too. Do you think, Fred? Because you would have been
No, I'm not so sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, of course, when you start out working on a series that already has been scored, and you're coming in at a later season, you listen and you see what they've done before. And, a lot of what I did on 90210 was, just little sort of segue music and just a little dramatic undercurrent, or sometimes a little light undercurrent, using, myself, and then I would bring in an electric guitar with Stan Meisner and a saxophone with a guy named Vern Dorge, and and I would play acoustic nylon. So I mean, there was sort of a combination of nice sort of sampled sounds and real sounds. But mostly the key was there wasn't a great deal of action. And actually, I had come, from since 1987 when I scored Friday the 13th, the series and movies, etc. I just have done tons and tons of projects and series with tons of action. So I really enjoyed the challenge of not having to do that and to do something that was just sort of light emotional, and then occasionally, dark emotional, and, with the occasional bit of action. And then, you take something like Graduation Day, which, to be honest, I'm going to be really, I hate to be, saying this, but, I've done so much over the years. I actually stopped scoring in 2001, but from 87 till 2001, it's a blur to me because I did so many TV series and so many movies, etc. So it's interesting though, because Graduation Day, especially the scene with Tori at the end when she, loses her virginity, I remember that like it was yesterday. Like that was. I remember Larry telling me that Mr. Spelling was very concerned that the score needed to be, very carefully done so that it had no seediness to it. It was loving and and sort of romantic. And so I tried my best, knowing there was pressure on that particular scene. That's why I think it was really. I think that's why why it's so memorable to me, the writing of it and the scene itself, because I remember probably putting a lot of effort into how do I musically, portray this. And I had to just go in a very romantic manner.
Larry, I'm curious about that note because Jason also made a note about going to Mr. Spelling about this scene. And Jason said earlier that, we know that Tori Spelling's an actress and she's playing Donna Martin, but Tori Spelling is also Aaron Spelling's daughter. So I'm curious, were you getting more notes about things?
Well, of course. I mean, also in the writing of it. I mean, just, the whole writing of the scene, you felt the weight of all the 6 years that had come, 7 years that had come before, that it was going to be done right. And Phil Savith and I, who wrote it, we kind of acted out that scene ourselves probably 1,000 times.
You and Phil Savith.
I think he played the female. I played. Yes, I'm sure we did.
You're saying you and Phil Savith, you were Brian, and Phil Savith was playing Tori, running lines.
Read it out and make sure it sounded, that it didn't sound corny. That it could. They were lines that could be said and would convey what we wanted.
There really was. Larry he made it very clear to me. That's what I'm saying. This part is so memorable because Larry made it clear to me. I'm in Toronto and Larry's in LA, and I would do the scores in Toronto, and then I would come to LA and spot the next shows. But I was in Toronto. I remember Larry saying to me, Mr. Spelling, is looking at this the way he would if his daughter was being filmed in her first losing her virginity. So it's how he saw it, and that's really what put the pressure on everyone. I'm sure Larry had that pressure. I had the pressure. The director had the pressure. The actors had the pressure, and so, but I wasn't without the pressure. So I knew that I had to write something that was, as I said, just a romantic and I watched it. Just you sent me the link. I remembered it very well. It's mixed a little bit too low for my taste, but I think it does just add a nice little sort of pillow to the the whole thing, and it doesn't feel, it feels sincere, which is nice.
I think that they were afraid to mix it louder for the same reason, Fred. They were afraid of going over, maybe even I didn't sit with him for the final, when he finally looked at the final thing.
Right.
But I think everyone was a little bit on eggshells, but it comes out really well. Jason had a good laugh about all the candles and stuff, which was great. And because it's kind of silly. Yeah. And Tori actually has been on the record saying that she was afraid that she was going to catch fire in the scene.
Done this last year, or even last week, I might not have been. But I think this is the way it's supposed to be.
change your mind?
Well, one part of my life ended the day when we graduated. And now I want to spend the next part with you.
It's beautiful.
Get some lucky.
I think it's loud enough. Uh-oh. Here we go.
Not sleazy.
Goodbye. Nina Persson for you.
There they go. The condom. Nice.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
That's fantastic.
You know, in watching it,
Yeah. There's the next clip. Larry, before we go and I play the last part of that clip with your brother, I want to ask you the dialogue in that scene. They made sure that they said "I love you" to each other. Did you pick up on that? That was that important that they had to say? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was an earned moment. You know, we felt, yeah, absolutely, it was absolutely. You know, I mean, he, you know, the whole thing of he, and I just want to get clear that he waited thing, because he did wait. He did wait for it. Didn't mean that he wasn't going to have sex, but he waited for her to come back until she was ready to have a real full relationship with intimacy. And so I really thought the waited thing really went well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful scene. All right, let's pick up the rest of what Fred thought.
well, first of all, I take it back because they're whispering a lot, so they really couldn't have been any louder.
No, it couldn't have been.
But you know, I have to tell you, the one thing I feel really good about, and I, for some reason, I need it today. But I just really feel like that was some of my best work in the whole series, and I also think, amazingly, it sounds exactly like score in 2022 on Lifetime movies or this kind of stuff. So I really feel proud of myself that I actually did sort of a timeless score there. You know?
I totally
Also,
agree, Fred.
if it's fantastic, but also what I love is, you know, the theme song, and through the years, the guitar, that the electric guitar has been sort of thematic with the show, and you used the solo guitar in a way that felt thematically with the television show, but in a really nice, subtle way that doesn't overpower the scene. So it was a good use of the guitar player as well, I thought.
You know, I have to say, I wish I could remember if I did that purposely to tie into the opening of the
sound
show.
of the guitar. Yeah.
You know, I don't think I did. I just think it just felt like, you know, that was right for the score. But I always I tell you that, you know, as you know, hard as I worked and as talented I might be, you know, the addition of using other talented people is so beautiful.
And the guitar player that you used was who, you said?
He was my songwriting partner for years out of Toronto, Stan Meisner. And he and I would write a lot of source cues together for different shows I was doing. I produced 2 albums of his on A&M. But he was also a really solid lead guitar player, and I would just bring him in. And I brought in Vern Dorge, who was a wonderful Toronto sax player. And
nice, sweet sound, yeah.
Like, it's just, you know, what's nice, like I said, it has, believe it or not, sort of a contemporary feel. So I'm actually really happy to hear it again.
Yeah, it was really nice. Larry, do you have anything for your brother on this?
No, I was thrilled to see it and thrilled to see my brother. I haven't seen him in a while. We're going to see each other pretty soon. He's going to be coming out to Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, very cool.
And with the whole mishbook, and it's always fun. But yeah, no, look, it was a great way to end that episode. We've been waiting for that, that consummation between these characters, and it really stands the test of time. It's an iconic moment in television, really.
Very cool. All right, Fred, thank you so much for joining us again. I'm sure we'll have you back to talk about something else from this season too. So thank you so much, man. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, man. And then we waited for your brother to leave the Zoom chat so that we can proceed. But really beautiful stuff here, I thought, scoring wise. What did you think, man?
No, it's really well. Again, it's just a terrific scene. It really worked, and the kids really played it really well. Tori, as Donna, just really hit the right note on the thing, and we had to show the condom. That was part of the. We were 90s was at AIDS time. Still was a little bit post AIDS, but everything was really concerned with condoms. So that was it always seems a little clunky, but at least he knew at that point that it was going to happen.
Yeah,
that was kind of it does work in that sense. I remember not liking it, but actually I didn't mind it in this one because it's kind of a clear signal. It's going to work out, baby.
There's also the scene where Claire and Donna go lingerie shopping, and they pick the white. Claire says Steve likes black. Okay, you know what I mean? I'm curious, although it was white, and I thought everything that Tori did in this scene was really beautiful. And I think the two of them, the fact that they had a relationship Jason alluded to, I think it really helped to make this a very sweet moment and probably one of the most tender moments in the series.
Yeah, it was big. It's a big, memorable moment, and I'm just glad to be part of it. It was a privilege, and I always felt like. Like the architect of the pyramids, when you finally the pyramids are done and you go inside, then you're locked. You're basically then stoned inside because you have to be killed because it's over now.
Right.
you had done the unthinkable. You had the boss's daughter get screwed on television. So I had to be killed.
But it was yes, yeah. And the Spice Girls brought you into the chamber.
I died on that hill.
All right, let's move on here. We're going to go to Ruth Olivier, who was Joy, and we'll take a look at that. And this is one clip, 10 minutes. So if you got to get up and do anything, not you watching along, Larry, I mean, if you need to.
Good stuff.
It's really good.
There she is. Oh, there it was. I mean, she's got it all together, right?
Hello.
Here is our friend Ruth. Joy, how are you? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. How are you doing? It's been a while.
It's been a little bit of time. You were in something really cool, right? I saw on IMDb and your Instagram. I've been following you, a little Instagram stalk. Yeah. Tell me about the thing that you just did.
A little something called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I saw you on the red carpet and all that stuff.
Nice.
It would look like a blast.
It was a blast, and it was a blast that I got to take my nephew as my date, and he was like over the moon. So that was really special. How are you both doing? I mean,
I'm doing really well. I'm on the East Coast, just getting ready for summer, Memorial Day weekend. I'm going to a reggae fest.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, with the Untitled, should be fun. A bunch of local bands I like too. So yeah, it's just partying, keeping it.
Yeah, should be a fun weekend. I've been great. I'm in Pasadena area, so and got some stuff going on, and of course we're here to talk about this thing. Yeah. Okay, let's go back in time. Graduation day. This is one of the bigger episodes that you were a part of. This is the Roaring 20s, and you're in both the last two episodes of the season. Do you have memories of doing some of this? And I'll ask you about some specific things in a second.
Yeah, I mean, I do, especially the party. I think that really just like stuck out for me. Just the costumes were amazing and everybody was there, so that was fun. And yeah.
And you got to hang out with Randy Spelling as someone interested in dating you.
As my potential beau.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was fun.
I hooked you up.
You totally did. Where did you go, Larry?
I hooked you up with the Boston Sun. I mean, come on, I teed it right up there. I don't know.
What was
can't do
Randy?
everything.
What was Randy
That was
like?
pretty cool. Oh, he was a sweetheart, and I think that he seemed to me a little shy, like just very gentle and sweet. Yeah.
Did and the other I don't remember, why do I not remember the other kid's name?
His
Larry?
name is Ryan.
The actor's name is Austin something, right?
Oh, I think the actor's name is Austin. I mean, the character's
name is Ryan.
Right.
Yeah.
The actor's name is Austin. Yes.
The Randy Spelling's brother or whatever that on the show. Do you remember him at all, Austin or Ryan?
Oh my gosh, that name sounds familiar, but I can't.
You can't place him. He kind of has this like Jim Carrey quality to him, right?
Yes. I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
Very goofy, very goofy.
See or hang out with the Cardigans at all?
Oh yeah, I was there when they played. Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, that was a treat.
Right? Yeah.
That song was a big deal for a while.
Larry fought for another band, just so that you're aware. He did not want the Cardigans.
What? Who did Larry fight for?
I had the Spice Girls.
Oh, a little band.
Small band.
The actor that played your father in this, John Riley. Do you have any? You have a lot with him in the time that you're there, and particularly here, he's talking about you and that you've come on board with him and all this stuff. Do you remember working with John?
I do remember working with John, and again, he was just so kind and sweet and easy, just a pleasure. Yeah, John
cool.
was very kind.
I mean, he was an old pro at that point. I mean, he had, probably had like 40 years in the business as a leading man. Totally a stock company leading man, tall, good jaw, handsome enough, good enough actor. Man. Yeah. He just, he survived all through those years. I mean, I think he was in a Knight Rider. I did also have to go back and look, but I'm pretty certain.
Really? Yeah.
And you got to work with Jenny a bunch, and I remember that you said it was a favorable experience last time you were with us. Now she's worked with you once before, right? So I'm curious, when you come to do this, is she equally as fun and happy to see you and all that stuff?
You mean from one episode to coming back for these? Yeah, absolutely. Everybody was so nice. I mean, I don't have a bad memory of getting to play on 90210. Everybody was sweet. Everybody had been doing it for a long time. So everybody was relaxed and at home and welcoming. There wasn't this, and it was such a mega hit that there wasn't an anxiety around it, right? So everybody could just be relaxed.
Enjoy themselves. Yeah.
Exactly.
They were hiding it at that point, I would say.
Really? I don't remember any of that.
There was a lot of anxiety because it was the end of a season, which was always provoked anxiety, whether who was coming back, who was not coming back, what were they going to get paid, and in this case, it was like who was going to run the show, where the series was going to go, because college was over. This was the end.
Right.
And but look, they were great professionals, so I'm not surprised that everyone, showed up and did their work, and they were intensely proud of the show too. I mean, just hearing Jason talk today about it and stuff, what was going on, it was pretty interesting. If you get a chance, I hope you catch the show and some of the stuff he said, which included, and Pete, tell me if I'm wrong, he said that he actually drank liquor on the set.
He did say that. He did say that. He said that he was really.
He had real booze in his flask, and he was drinking, which is pretty.
How was
I love
Jason?
That outfit.
Jason as a director, how was that? Was he a good director? Did you like working with him?
I did like working with him. I don't have any strong memories of it. Just, he'd been doing it for such a long time and everybody was already a part of the team. It just seemed to me like it was just so easy for him to step behind the camera and it just seemed to like flow.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being like, oh, here's an actor trying to direct. Like I didn't have that experience with that. So
he was fantastic. Yeah. Hey, Ruth, before you head out of here, I want to show you something. We have dailies from a different episode. So this is from what was the name of this episode, Larry, with the blind
this would be gift wrapped, or no? This was
gift wrapped.
Yeah, gift wrapped. This is gift wrapped.
Okay, so hopefully
the Christmas show.
Yeah, hopefully this plays. But here are some of your dailies.
Oh, I guess you got the same message as me. Sure did. Dad's not coming. I hope he's off somewhere having a really bad day. Well, if I decide to go to school here in the fall, he'll have to show up eventually. I hope you do. And he doesn't. Brunching? Hi, Kelly. Mom? And you must be Joy. I'm Jackie Taylor. It's a pleasure to meet you. Well, I guess I don't have to ask where your father is, huh? Seeing the two of you here together.
Yes, I mean that's the work of the actor. You're seeing the process here, how the song.
I love that stuff. Yeah.
Wow,
you have to keep it going. Yeah, you have to see. Here, wait. Here, we're gonna bring her in, and a lot of things go on there.
When you see something, when you see something like that, does that put you back there in a way?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's been a few moons, such a long time, but it just feels like, yeah, I remember being in that space. I completely remember shooting that scene. So yeah, it's wild, but I hadn't seen it in a while. So yeah, that's wild.
Like probably 25 years. You look phenomenal for one
phenomenal.
Thing. And I can only so that's the other phenomenal thing is that you've been working for 25 years, and God bless on that. I mean, that's amazing. And, best is yet to be, I think. And the best is yet to be for you. I know you really have great.
Yes.
Beautiful talent.
Well, thank you so much, Ruth. We appreciate you being here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great
I
to
mean,
see
my
you.
experience was just so amazing there. I mean, I wish I had something juicy to tell, but it was just such a thrill to get to be a part of it. So thank you for inviting me to play.
You are part of it. Stay in touch.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Good to see you.
I mean, really great stuff with Ruth there. Yeah.
Yeah, she's adorable still. I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah, she's got a lot of interesting projects going on. You should check her out.
This is feeling a little bit like a super show.
This has become an epic super show. We still have a couple more things. I know we have our favorite Ryan. I feel bad. You're gonna do the clamming story now. Can you cut it out?
We're leaving the clamming in because it's really entertaining. And then also, so that's about 15 minutes. Then we have Drew Kinney, who's really gave some good insight. So I think both are relevant. We've got, I don't even know. Let's just go right into. You good for months? I think months would be good.
Go right to it. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, my man.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
How have you been, dude? It's good to see you, man.
Nice to see you too. Just been super busy.
Yeah.
Summer's coming. It's a big time there, I assume, right?
Yeah, that's our heaviest season is summer. We get a couple million people coming onto the island, so they all want to eat.
Memorial Day weekend. And just between us, I'm curious what percentage-wise have your prices gone up?
It's only gone up like a couple of $3 per item.
Okay.
But we've also streamlined the menu to where we don't offer large. If let's say we have a mussel or a clam dish, it came in appetizer size and then entree size. Now we just streamed it to the one size only, and it's working out actually.
So, but I have to tell you, I am a shell fisherman, so now you caught my interest right now. The clam, what kind of clam?
He's on the East Coast on Martha's Vineyard.
I'm curious, what's your best clam dish that you make? Are they hard shell clams or are they soft shell clams?
Hard shell. They're
what we call quahogs.
They're mostly Manila
Okay,
clams.
they're smaller ones.
Yep.
You do the vongole probably. You do a vongole and
we do them a couple of different ways. We do the classic style with garlic and shallot and celery, white wine, butter, and fiends.
Right.
And then our house recommended clams. We make tassel ham at work as well, so we cure and smoke it. So there's tassel ham. There's half tomatoes, piquillo peppers, garlic, white wine, butter, fiends. So it's kind of
you're just steaming these, or are you they're in the oven? They're baked, or you're steaming them in a pot like
we just saute them. We just saute them and steam them in a pan. And
people are eating them with a bread
we make fresh sourdough.
We do a couple of things. We do a clams casino with I shuck the clams, Worcestershire sauce, a little piece of bacon, and then bake it for like 30 minutes. It's fantastic.
You should add a little bit of jalapeno on top of that.
Could do that. That's an Indian recipe here. My Wampanoag friends taught me.
I'm waiting for Emerald Lagasse to join us here.
My wife does a clams oregano with breadcrumbs, oregano, and some other spices, and we also bake those for like 15 minutes.
Okay.
And,
I'm keeping this all in, Larry. I'm keeping this whole.
Now we get back to the show.
No, but I'm keeping this all in. I'm keeping it all in. This is
you would
really
love it. I mean, again, we're talking about real clams here, quahog.
Oh yeah. No, when I say I mess with the best seafood on the planet, I mean we get everything from calamari to octopus. We have live lobster flown in from Maine every week.
I mean, we have the lobster, just around my corner, and also, I obviously oysters. But you have good oysters there too. I know. We have great oysters here.
Yeah, we get some.
I can shuck those too. I just got a new shucking knife today.
Nice. Is it Prince Edward's Island?
That's on the east coast of Canada. That's on the east coast of Canada.
Yeah, we get 3 or 4 different varieties from there flown in when we have trouble finding the ones that we want on the West Coast. And the East Coast, I've noticed the East Coast oysters are a little bit saltier than the ones that are on the West Coast.
They definitely are. Yeah.
And I think that has something to do with the Atlantic, I guess. A little more salt per volume, I suppose.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the show.
I'm wondering, is it the recipe swap done? Is it?
Pete's we're editing this. I don't know.
I'm keeping that all in. That is great. No, the fans are going to love that recipe swap. I mean, do you want to share the recipe, Larry, or are you good now?
I shared one, which was shuck the clam and just add some Worcestershire sauce and a piece of bacon and just bake it for 30 minutes. You're laughing on that.
There you go. It sounds delicious, man.
Don't screw it up.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, let's get some more months in. For graduation day, man, you're all over this episode, and you've got some really, really amazing, really fun, awesome stuff throughout the entire 2 episodes. The first time we see you in this, you show up from Mexico with a whole bunch of fireworks. Do you remember?
Hell yeah!
Oh yeah.
I drive up
we give an entrance.
Go ahead.
Drive up in my Jeep, and I got a poncho and a sombrero on. I actually made a meme out of that. Somebody had still shot it and sent it to me. I was just like, oh my God. So I started doing Mexican words of the day with that,
Oh, that's amazing, man. Yeah. So there you go, Larry. You see what you did for Ryan. Yeah.
Well, I know also in the year before he had he was shooting margaritas like pistols out of a little pistol at the Palm Springs show.
That's right.
Well, actually, that was 2 seasons before.
Then you get hoodwinked into this whole thing with Ian and Brian, or Steve and David, and you're planning the prank. You're going to set something off at the thing. Do you remember doing those things with Brian and Ian and those scenes together? Because they come across really fun on the show. So I'm sure you guys were having a blast.
Yeah, it was a blast. I remember showing up. It was, I don't know, late afternoon. It was a nighttime shot. So we just kind of hung out and were chatting with each other, talking about what we were going to do. And for the most part, during all of the setup at night, Jason just let us, for the most part, just kind of, we stayed true to script, but he just let us improvise. And it worked out so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tended to do that quite a bit, actually. Hey, just go do your thing. You're not even written in the scene. He's like, hey, just go do your thing. and you just
Yeah,
walk on
it
camera.
wasn't a lot we did
People-
nighttime at the college, but that was at the college, I assume, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
And it was a blast. That nighttime shot was so much fun.
And then we see the explosion the next day, and it's really amazing and all of that stuff. Did you feel like you graduated from CU? I mean, during these couple of episodes?
Not really, except the only time that it really set in was when we were done with that season. Typically they'll send you stuff to your house. So like one year for Christmas, I got like sweatsuits and Nike sneakers and different stuff. But this time I actually got my diploma from CU with my name on it, Ryan Thomas Brown. And that was like, wow, now I can actually say I graduated college, because I didn't graduate college. I only went for a year, and then I moved to LA and started acting at 19. So
Yeah. I'm curious, and I'll ask you about the other scenes too, but were you, because the college years were done and you were a college year character, but you did come back in the later seasons, but were you at that point assured that, well, I will stay in Steve's life, or did you know where you would be brought back, or what was your thoughts about it at that time?
I didn't really know, because at that time I was in between agents. So my agent at the time wasn't really doing anything for me. So I actually got contacted by the show saying, hey, we want you to come in and do an episode. So I didn't even have to give my, 10 or 15% to my agent. I just kept everything myself, but they just contacted me directly and said, hey, we want you to do this episode. We want you to do this episode, and blah, blah, blah. So, it was, they stayed in contact with me, told me, hey, we want to keep you running in every once in a while. And it was great. I love doing that show.
I mean, bro, you were there all the way to the very last episode. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like your character came in college and you stayed all the way to the end. So you were a part of Steve's, clique, or his group, his friend group,
It's a fraternity buddy. Fraternity buddies are for life.
Yeah.
I actually watched a little bit of that this morning when I was waking up, and there was a scene where Chancellor Arnold is given that quote, about the road least traveled. If you look at my face when he says that, they pan to me, and it's like one of these, just like, oh, man. It was so funny.
All right, we got one more month's clip here, Larry. We should say Chancellor Arnold. This is the end of that character as well. We didn't really talk about that. Nick Pryor was so good on 90210. Is there anything you want to say about Nick Pryor, Chancellor Arnold?
Oh, it was such a delight to be able to write for him, because he could do, he had such a light touch. You could have some fun with him, maybe get some laughs out of him too. And then, of course, we knew that in real life he was married to Christine, who plays Steve's Samantha Sanders. So that was really a natural, and that actually is a big part of the that was the elephant in the room in this episode. She's not in it, but it's Chancellor Arnold is part of the triangle with Steve, Claire, and Chancellor Arnold. And she chooses Chancellor Arnold. She chooses her father over Steve, and that's.
I think Claire makes the right choice. Her father, her mother, as we learned in the series, has passed away, and she feels a responsibility to go be with her father. And also, Steve Sanders is not. She's not going to marry Steve Sanders. Do you know what I mean? So she's making a choice for her life at that point, and I think she looks incredible in this episode as a Claire. The Claire look looks holy geez, a level of unknown. With
I mean that plot line where the Chancellor falls in love with an actress is, of course, just doomed to fail. It's just there's nothing worse than falling in love with an actress. Anyway, let's go see more here.
Clip 3. You also dressed up like Babe Ruth in this, and you have a really great line, Larry. I'm not going to botch it, so I'll let you deliver the line.
Well, I mean, you didn't have the clip of it.
It would take me a moment.
I was telling this thing, Brian. The reason I think I love the line so much is because I just had written that line when two men came into my office and told me I'd been fired.
Oh wow!
Yeah, exactly. No good deed goes unpunished.
That's right.
Right.
And so, but the line was, I just have it. It was, because the takeoff of the whole Babe Ruth thing where, he basically promised a sick kid he was going to hit a home run. But in Muntz's world, Muntz promises the sick kid he's going to drink a bottle of scotch.
Right.
And it's just really, it's beautifully done. You point to the bar, you look like the Babe. It's one of the wonderful moments. So I always feel like I went out in fine style.
What about that scene? That's so great. And Jenny seems like she really even enjoys that.
It was funny. Before we shot all that stuff at it was the Wiltern, wasn't it, Larry?
Yes.
Jason comes walking up to me and he's like, "So, hey, bro, we need you super drunk by the end of the episode. So when you come walking out of the Wiltern and you get into the limousine, we're gonna have a couple of girls with you, but we need you drunk." And I'm like, I can act drunk, dude. I mean, that's what I do. I got you. And he's like, "No, I don't think you understand. We need you drunk. So follow me." I was like, okay.
Exactly. That's what he did.
We go walking a half a block down from the Wiltern, and there's this little bar, kind of is almost connected to it. And we walk in there, and he grabs the menu, and he's looking at it, and he's like, "You ever had a Cosmo?" I'm like, "No, I've never had a Cosmo." He's like, "You are today. Can I get 2 Cosmos, please?" And he orders 2 Cosmos, and he's like, "We're just going to take these right to the neck." Drank them. 2 more Cosmos, please. Jason Priestley got me drunk that night.
Wow.
And he got himself drunk. He told us on his interview.
Yeah, he told us on his interview. He kind of confirmed.
Method directing. I guess.
He said that he was drunk. He was drinking a lot on that episode. On that episode, and it was annoying Jenny Garth. He said, "Do you remember that?"
I don't remember because I was drunk, but I was having a great time. So, Jason, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. Well, it's beautifully done. You're right. I have to watch that moment really.
I got to rewatch the whole episode.
I remember him walking to the limousine. We just watched it the other day with the 2 girls, which I said, "Oh yeah, that's really good. I'm so glad we did
that." The Cardigans played.
Yep.
Do you remember them? What did you think?
Yeah, I remember a lot of the musical acts that came on. So much fun when you see them performing. It's like you get a little free mini concert,
Totally. Do you know who almost played?
No, not right. And I can't remember right offhand.
Go ahead, Larry.
Oh, this was, again, part of the bittersweet story for me, but I actually had the Spice Girls to play at the party. They were big
Tell me what you
want,
what you really, really want, Larry.
Yeah.
Exactly. I want to be your lover or something like that. I don't know what else they say.
Yeah, that is the song. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
But it didn't happen because Jason, as he admits, one of the Cardigans.
Yes.
He thought the Spice Girls were everything that was wrong about the show, is what he said to me.
Jason, by the way, in the interview, Larry would be happy to know. Jason said that he was wrong, and the Spice Girls should have been the act for this episode. So it was that redemption in a way, Larry?
Yes, it was definitely. I've had many of those moments in my career, after the fact.
How did the Spice Girls thing fall through?
Well,
Jason just struck it down. He
vetoed it as the director.
Yeah.
Well, at that time.
And basically I got vetoed also at the same time. And, it was like a vote of non-confidence, and that everything I was up doing was wrong to the show.
But in fairness to what Ryan's going to say, you were going to just say the Cardigans were a very, very, very popular band at that moment.
Yeah, they were.
And they did just have that big thing in Romeo and Juliet, and that I could sort of see how the position of Bring Them In comes to be, because they were so popular and that song was such a hit at that moment in time. But to your point, Spice Girls would have been an event to watch.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it was a big gesture from Kelly Taylor's father.
Right. Mm-hmm. That too. Do you have any fun John Riley stories? Do you remember John Riley was Kelly's dad in this episode?
Yeah, no, I can't think of one right offhand.
What about Jed Allen, Steve's
Jed Allen, I believe he was with my agent at the time, Own Manners, or maybe he wasn't. I don't know, because I think he was either that or one of my managers, because when I first met Jed, he's like, "Hey, you're with my guy," and blah blah blah. So I always enjoyed working with Jed, because he was just, you know, he not only was he Steve's dad, but he carried that set dad vibe, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Always cool, always on the level. I mean, it was Jed Allen, you know, he just commanded a presence when you looked at him. You're just like, God, you need to be unsoaped. Oh wait, you were unsoaped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Amazing, man. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time here, Ryan. I hope all is going well with you in Washington, and let's stay in touch for sure. Lots of cool things in the works. So
yeah, it should be a great Memorial Day weekend for you. Have some fun also between all the hard work and you know.
Gonna get my ass kicked, boys.
I know. Sure. Are you having a worker shortage there like we are in Martha's Vineyard?
Absolutely. We can find everybody and their mother wants to work front of house and sell the food. Nobody wants to cook it. And the people in the back of house with me, I should be front of the house because I can do everything in a restaurant, to be honest with you. I can sell our food, no problem. But my passion for cooking is what keeps me in the kitchen. And it's like, it's almost like when you're doing double ups and filming, there's that chaoticness about it where you're just like, there's so much going on right now. What episode are we working on? You know, and you're just looking up at the ticket rail. You got, you know, 5 lobster rolls, 5 clams, 5 mussels. How am I going to fire all this? You know, so
yeah.
What's the name of the restaurant again?
It's called Saltwater Fish House and Oyster Bar, and it's in Langley, Washington. And if there's ever a meetup up in Washington, and shit, we can do it in that little town. I would love to have you guys up and cook.
Whidbey Island would be
so good. It would be on me. So
that's amazing, man. Yeah. And for anybody who's up in that area, go to the restaurant and hang out and see Muntz and hang out with him.
Yeah, use code word Muntz and I'll send you out a free appetizer.
I'm going.
Amazing. All right, brother. Thank you so much for your time. This has been great.
Hell yeah. Love you guys.
Good. Love you too, my man. Good seeing you. It is so good to see Muntz, man. I mean, we got to get up there, man. We got to do a road trip when you get back. When are you getting back again? When?
July, end of July 30th.
This Martha's Vineyard is too long for us. We need you back in California, man. All right, let's jump into Drew Kinney. It's 2 parts. He gives some really good info too. We are knee deep into the Super Show. This is our last interview though, so there is that information. But Drew always brings the goods and the nuts and bolts of how it all came together. And we got to unmute him.
Where it is? I'm trying to see. This is a University
Grateful
of North Carolina.
Dead. Yeah.
Grateful Dead and North Carolina together.
Oh, okay.
I love that.
That's why I was really confused. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. Don't you love that?
And North Carolina together. Interesting. Okay.
Larry, are you a Grateful Dead fan?
No. I mean, I respect it, but I can't say I'm a deadhead. No, never bought a record. Never
really. I have a bunch of the records. Yeah. How is the record collecting going? Is Larry in that group that we have? You got to add Larry. He would love that vinyl group.
Oh yeah, the Heady Wax Fiends, absolutely. Oh
yeah.
No, it's going good. I got I found a 1959 mono 6i Miles Porgy and Bess original the other day.
Nice. This is amazing. Yeah. When you were out here, did you go to that spot Amoeba Music a bunch? Was that a go-to?
It was not there
yet.
Yeah.
I used to go to
Tower Records.
Aaron's Records on Highland.
Right.
Tower Records on Sunset or the Virgin Mega Store. That's probably not even still there.
No, that's not there anymore. Yeah, that was really something.
The Superstore record stores are gone. Isn't that sad that we lost all of those, especially with losing Tower Records? Did you see the documentary on Tower Records? I thought that was really
great. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Did you see that, Larry?
Yeah.
All things must pass. All right. Well, we are here now to talk about this episode of 90210, which is Graduation Day. Did you get a chance to rewatch this, Drew?
I did.
Did you remember any of it?
Well, I'll tell you the one thing I remembered more than anything was the Cardigans in the lobby of the Wiltern Theater.
What do you mean by this? Yeah,
that whole bit with them on stage, that was in the lobby at the Wiltern Theater. So that really? Background was that's inside the Wiltern.
That's hilarious.
Oh wow, yeah.
And it worked perfectly for that because we could shoot some stuff downstairs and there was holding places and there was like a couple of different spots and stuff on the stairs and you never knew it was a Wiltern. I totally forgot about that.
I had forgot it was Wiltern. I remember we had scouted a bunch of different places. We had scouted the Palladium. We had scouted some other ones, probably the Wilson Bear. And then what's going on? My dog just got mad. Okay.
Well, he really wanted it to be at the Palladium. It was a bad choice, he thought. Yeah.
Only part of the show. Okay, so here we are. Wilton is a great theater. I've seen some good shows there.
Drew, are you on those scouts? Do you go on scouts like that? When Larry just said that we scout at these places. Sometimes do you go?
Some of them, like especially if we're having, like, let's say we're doing double ups or something, then we absolutely have to divide and conquer to get all that done. Or if we're doing a tech scout, absolutely a tech scout, because I've got to make sure everything fits in the location and all that good stuff. Pass it down to everybody on the team. But then there's other times when the things you're going to do are so big that you have to go to preliminary scouts because it's the only way you can figure out the budget. So like the Santa Monica Beach Club, a great example. I wasn't there when that was scouted because I started, with the beach club. So they already figured that out. But that kind of a place, if you're going to do something like that, you bring key people with you because they got to tell you how much it's going to cost to create all the boardwalk and all the other got to do.
The writers are going there to figure out how to write things and how to stage things and how it's all going to fit in the script and everything, and also helping out with the budget too. So you have to be making your days. You want everything to be able to work out for a couple of days in a big location.
Absolutely.
I imagine you didn't do too much though it's the stuff on the hill with Valerie there, where she's gonna maybe commit suicide or whatever it is. I'm sure you didn't do too much there, but the crane shots were very cool. I mean, we talked about that with Jason. So were you there for any of that? Probably not.
I probably was there at the beginning of the day, but it's funny. The thing that one made me remember was the dream that Tiffany had, where she's running down the hallway. I can't remember.
Steve Wasserman is a dead body.
Yeah, exactly. And it was basically like that same spot in Santa Monica, and Rick Gunter and Bill Baker and them, they had the shot maker camera, which Paul Wagner referred to it as the mortgage maker because we got to rent it in basically every episode.
Yeah.
But the cliff was so precarious you can't get very close, and so to make it look like you're on the edge, you have to be on the other side of that like concrete fence that they built.
Yeah.
And you have to be in a certain position where it's safe enough for somebody to stand, even with a safety. So we did a whole thing where it was like long steel runners with a door out there over the edge of the cliff with the shot maker, like pushing the camera through and down to, PCH on the bottom. That's what that scene made me remember, was that whole logistics of figuring out how to get the camera that far over the cliff.
I mean,
honestly,
now
the shot maker was the only thing we could use.
Now be a drone, right?
I mean, now as a drone, everything is so easy and cheap.
Absolutely.
The other thing is graduation. So you probably did a bunch here at CU for the explosion, and also and the graduation, setting up the graduation itself.
There were two graduations, Pete.
That's right. There was the first graduation is the elementary school graduation. Yeah.
Which if you go back and look at, I mean, it's like, if people haven't seen the episode, they got to go back and look at it because they are really similar. Like we made that thing like.
I love it. I just love that misdirection.
You saw the little kids, and first you think you misinterpret what it's going to be, and then you see our kids later. And because now they're not the adults, they seem like littler kids because of those two scenes.
Yeah, it was really nice. We didn't talk. We'll talk about that tomorrow, Larry. But that's
always a great opening, I think. A great title sequence. It's a title sequence.
Do you remember putting together the graduation setup? And what about the explosion?
I don't remember specifically things related to the explosion. I'm sure there was a lot of stuff that revolved around it.
The fireworks that go off for the prank. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and
because that would have been special effects. It was pyro, so it was special effects.
Yeah. And we would have had, I'm sure that we went over that like on the tech scout or something, but it's one of those things, like sometimes you're doing that kind of a thing on a scout. We're at another place and I'm measuring a bunch of stuff with somebody else to make sure that all the other stuff's going to fit there, because really not much for me to do over there. But those graduation things, I mean, we ended up doing a number of graduation things, and that was, that's kind of the funny thing, is that they're all really the same. It's all like you need some kind of bleachers or some kind of thing, a rows of people to sit, and you need a wall of curtains and
the giant CU, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You got to have all the accoutrements. So whether it's West Beverly High and the Wildcat logo, or CU and the Condor,
Larry, we have one more clip to go, but I wanted to ask you about something that Drew brought up there. We didn't even mention it. At the very start of graduation day, there's a false graduation in the
Oh
title.
yeah, one of the great moments. We do a misdirection. We let the audience think this is the graduation thing, and of course it's really like a kindergarten graduation. Like in LA, everyone gets a trophy. So like the kids are already graduated.
It's Erin's graduation.
Erin's graduation.
Yeah.
David and Kelly's.
Yeah. Such good stuff, though.
Very cute thing.
I love the title sequence. Chris Isaac's graduation day. Such a good track. Good choices all the way around, right from the start of the episode.
Yeah, that's the episode title sequence. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. All right. Here is the rest of Drew Kinney, and then we're going to be saying goodbye to everybody. Drew Kinney first. So the other thing too, of course, is this Roaring 20s party. I guess that's probably at the Wiltern most of what you remember doing and setting up, right?
Yeah, with the lit floor, and because it like if you go back and look at that again, where the back of the lit floor is, like their sort of proscenium behind them, that's literally right there. That's the doors into the Wiltern. Go to your seats. Wow. So when you see that arch over their heads, it looks like it's real decorative. We didn't build that. That's just the Wiltern. We found a good place with a backdrop. We didn't have to build something like that. It was
fantastic. I didn't realize that.
Well, because then we do see Kelly's dad, John Riley, sitting in an empty theater, right?
Well, in the balcony.
Balcony, yeah.
So we shot in a couple of different places inside the building there. It worked out perfectly. And I'm sure that there was probably something else we did during the day nearby, in a neighborhood, because, around the corner, there's a bunch of houses. So they had sidewalks so that we could shoot something outside. And Mr. Spelling would say it was Beverly Hills because they had a sidewalk.
What about setting up the scene with Donna and the Donna losing her virginity in that with the candles? I know Jason was telling us he asked for a lot more candles, but was only allowed to have 6 candles. And a producer told him,
Jim Weatherall told him it would be $600. You have to have
a fire marshal on set. Do you have any recollection of any of this?
Now, I don't think I was there when all of that went down, but I remember the meetings in like Paul's office and Jason going, it's got to have like 200 candles, man. You got candles everywhere. It's got to be, and it's of course I can't think of the guy's name, but one of our old directors, Gil, I can't think of his last name right now, but he was the guy who would say like, I want a gazebo. So I'm going to ask for the Taj Mahal and I'm going to make a scene out of it. And they'll go, fine, have your damn gazebo. So it was kind of like Jason was doing that kind of thing, knowing that like he needed the dozen candles. Yeah. And if he didn't ask for 300, he was going to get 2.
It's a negotiation.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I can remember, Paul rolling his eyes and just.
I was going to say, and me too, because one thing, it just seems so unnatural, of course. But Jason kind of laughs about it now, the corniness of it. But all directors, it's like the mirror shot, the candle shot. It's in the DNA of a director. I'm going to start in the mirror and pull out. Okay.
That's great.
I've never seen that one.
Frozen.
And this was the other big thing about this was that, Larry left, Kathleen leaves. There's some leaving. There's some people moving on, and you're staying, obviously. But what is that like for you as another person on the crew to see some of your friends that you've been working with for a long time kind of moving on in their careers?
It's great to see people like getting to go do something else. And it's like when you're working on episodic like that, when you're working in production, because you have hiatus time, like you have more time than most people have off during the year. Other people go do TV movies or a feature or something else, or just go on vacation. Like me, I was like, screw this, I'm going on vacation. I'm gonna go take 3 months off, man.
Right, I have a job. Why would I go?
Exactly. I'm gonna go enjoy life. So see you later. I would get on a plane and I would fly back here to North Carolina and hang out with all my college buddies, and I'd not work for a while. But so it was kind of interesting because like the season would end and you'd say goodbye to everybody, and then like the immediate people that I worked with every single day, like the set dressing crew, props, construction, all those people. Well, I knew all those people were coming back because, like, Tom or
Jill,
Bill or Carlos said, I'm going to be back next season, because Paul wanted to know that person was coming back, because then that meant all the other people were going to come back with them, and he didn't have to worry over
Right.
it's like what was going to happen, you know.
Right.
In the very first season, and I don't remember what her name was, there was a woman who was the production designer, and she became ill, and that's when Tom Fichter came in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I moved to LA to work on a movie with him. The plug got pulled on our movie. I made a phone call. Somebody called somebody else. Somebody called Michael Cudlitz called Paul Wagner and said, "Hey, Fichter's available again," and made a phone call. And so, you know, you kind of start to watch people doing that, and like you realize that that person that moves on to something else, that could be a connection for you later for something else. You know, it's like
Totally.
the Little Feat song. You're like, you know, don't abuse the people on your way up, because you need them on your way back down.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this too. So the CU set at this point you wouldn't be using anymore, because they would be doing the newspaper, which is, we could talk about that some other time. But what is it like striking a set like that? Do you save pieces, or what?
Oh yeah. You break down every single piece. So I mean, all the wall elements were broken down into their individual components and reused in other sets. If it's like a doorway or a window frame or something, those are just put in a rack with windows and doors.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like, say, like there was an arch panel that had the CU condor that was on one of the walls, and inside of a reset. It's supposed to look like a big arch, but it's really just a piece of molding and like a little flat, full 3D thing. That went on the wall in the shop. So anything like that was very specific, that like you really couldn't reuse it. You know, there is a point in episodic TV where you might need it for an insert or something, for a flashback or whatever it is.
Sure.
Those kind of things, we just screw them up on the wall, and they would stay in the shop, and we really never needed the room, because, you know, a lot of things you just reuse, but most of that stuff we could save.
Yeah.
So the weirdest part about tearing down a set like that is you've been there, like you were there when there was nothing, and you figured out how to make that whole set fit around like the air conditioning ducts and all the structure and the columns on the stage. So you still have all the ability to take things apart and move around, so those things don't get in the way. And so you kind of forget what it's like when it's not there, because all this is a behemoth, and that set was huge. So it took up a third of the stage. I mean, it was the Peach Pit After Dark. I mean, that was almost the whole place all by itself, with a little swing set space on the side.
Mm-hmm.
But when all that stuff gets torn down, you got to go look at it again, because now what you can see is, here's where the walls were, and the floor is painted from one set, and there's the part of the painting from another set that was there beforehand you forgot about.
Oh, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, like archaeological dig you're doing down there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, so it unearths all that other stuff from before. Like one of the it was one time at Christmas when we had taken down, so I guess the kids had just gone to college, because we had the high school set. And we took down the high school set, so that space was empty. We went away for Christmas break, and then we came back, and that stage had the remnants of red, black, and white paint. Like, remember Eddie Van Halen's guitar style with the black stripes? Paul Wagner, who was a construction coordinator, was in a band with Michael Anthony's brother. And so he knew those guys. He painted the road cabinets for Van Halen where the set was over the break. Because I remember that Paul Wagner was furious, because he painted the pathways around too, which we had painted yellow so you could see them in the dark, you know, the fire path around everything. So you can't do anything. So he painted everything. That was one of those things. Like, we built another set there, and it was the Donna's dress shop.
Yeah.
That whole shopping center was there in the same place. So and that was one of the last things. So we were tearing everything down and emptying out the offices. And I remember going out on the stage, and there was the remnants of Van Halen's road cabinets on the floor. Like, the dig brought up Eddie Van Halen again.
Oh man, that's great. Well, this has been great, man. Thank you for sharing the insight of this episode and some other stuff too, man. It's always good catching up with you. All good in North Carolina, man?
All great, man.
Really great, man. I love listening to Drew. You know, I mean, he just has so much insight.
I want to say one thing. I just got a message from Chip Chalmers, Beverly Hills 90210.
Yes. Oh yeah. Love Chip.
He commented on the clamming stuff. He said, my knowledge of clams was legendary. Well, thank you, Chip. Thank you so much.
I do love Chip Tom. I want to talk to him because there's an episode in the later seasons that he directed that I'm going to reach out to him.
Reach out to him. Yeah,
I will for sure. He's a great dude. I wanted to say this has been really great. I mean, we really kind of did what you did with Graduation Day to begin with 2 episodes in one here. You know, we gave 2 episodes in one episode, like the season finale. So this is sort of, it was our own Graduation Day in a way. Yeah.
Well done. Yep.
All right, Larry, this has been great. We will be off next week, but back the week after that, and we will be talking more 90210. Until then, man, I hope you enjoy the Vineyard. I know you got a big reggae party this weekend for Memorial Day.
Reggae Fest, yeah.
Yes, and I'll just be watching the Mets do what they do.
Go Red Sox. And also, buy my book. Don't forget.
Yes.
LarryMullen.com. Yeah, you got to start reading this stuff, guys. Anyway, talk to everybody soon.
Yes, LarryMullen.com, and also 90 News is coming back with Sarah Heron. I wanted to make sure I plugged that. And anything else that we need to plug? I was
going to plug my brother's stuff, but I couldn't find out what to plug. But you should go to FredMullen.com.
Oh, there you go,
FredMullen.com. Great music on there. Yeah, I just finished a bunch of projects.
All right, man, this has been great. We will see everybody again in 2 weeks. All right, bye-bye.